So I joined Genzyme in 1994, as you said, Jim. We were about 2,500 employees at that point. We had one product approved. We were very focused on some early development programs. We had a very early international presence, but Henry Tamir, who was our CEO for the past 30 years, had an early vision that as a biotechnology company in the healthcare field, you needed to be global. And we had a office in Japan, for example, and opened in 1989 before we had our first product approved. We were immediately after approval, we were selling in Europe and have now grown to the point where we have offices in over 45 countries around the world, and our products are sold in over 100 countries. And of course, with the recent acquisition by Sanofi, one of the world's premier, largest pharmaceutical companies, we have a truly global reach.
Can you discuss the strength of this region? And I know your job requires you to do some travel and you spend some time in Europe. How is Boston perceived by the international community?
I think quite simply, Boston is the envy of the international community. The concentration of resources in Boston between the universities, the academic centers, the leading medical centers, the financial resources that are here in Boston, venture capital, and the increasing number of companies globally who are seeking to, if not have their headquarters here in Boston, to certainly have their research and development headquarters here in Boston or a major presence. So there's a remarkable mix here that certainly fuels innovation and makes it one of the key places to be if you want to be in the healthcare field. Boston is clearly considered one of perhaps two cities in the United States that are most European-like. And that's highly appreciated by international visitors who come here. They love the history of Boston, they love the accessibility of Boston, but most importantly, I think, going back to the fundamentals we talked about earlier, they appreciate this intellectual capital of the world kind of feature, if you will, of Boston. So the concentration of the great universities, the graduate schools, the medical centers, and what's perhaps not as fully appreciated is the strength of the financial community. So we have all of the stakeholders that are required to fuel innovation. And I think, again, the international community, being able to come to Boston and to be part of that and to experience that, partly with the goal to experience it and partly with the goal to say, what can we learn from Boston to take home to make our own communities stronger? I think those are the biggest things that are observed from afar, if you will.
You're a board member of the Biotechnology Industry Organization. They'll be holding their international convention here in Boston in 2012. On a global scale, what does it mean for a company like Genzyme to have a conference like this in the company's backyard?
No, it's extremely important. As you know, these trade organizations, and BIO is the most important organization for the biotechnology field. You look to locate your conference in an area which will be attractive not just for the conference itself, but in a community that speaks to what you are about. And again, the Boston area and the healthcare field, as I just said, is truly the leading center, or arguably the leading center for healthcare innovation globally. It's absolutely a global meeting, as you said. People come from all over the world to attend this meeting. I don't have the figures off the top of my head, but I do know that Boston 5 years ago outperformed from an attendance standpoint other cities, and we're absolutely looking to do it again.